Let's use a freebie with digital items to create something for our junk journal. Welcome, it's Barbara from Vienna, Austria. So the great thing about this kind of 5-item swap is that you can participate as well. So this is another collaboration with Louise Heinzel and Rhonda Winstead, and we each sent the other 2 participants the same 5 digital images as well as instructions. And lucky for you, all 3 of us are providing our digitals for you as freebies so that you can play along. If you don't have a printer, maybe you can either ask a family member or friend to print them for you, or you could have them printed in a print shop or your local library. Today I'm using Rhonda's items, and you can find this digital as a freebie linked below my video. Louise and Rhonda are posting their videos at the same time as I am, so you can find a playlist of all our videos as well as the previous 5 digital item swap videos linked in a playlist below this video. When I looked at this and saw the instructions, I pretty much had a panic attack. My main issue is that this is a very vintage image, as you can see. And then these images on the top and the bottom are all very modern. So I have no clue how to combine these so that they actually will still look good. Let me read you the instructions, because if that isn't enough of a challenge, wait till I read you the instructions. And the theme is ocean. So here are Rhonda's instructions. The seashells count as 1 item. You must use them all. So these 4. You may use the digitals more than once. You must include circles in some way. And this is the hardest one, number 4. You may not use coffee, paint, which includes watercolor, tube, bottle, crayons, and markers, or tea in your work. Here's an opportunity to think outside the box regarding color. Yeah, thank you, Rhonda. And lastly, additional items from your stash are okay that help you with the ocean theme. Well, that doesn't help me a lot because I don't think I hardly have anything ocean themed in my stash. The only thing I could think of were some small shells that I have in this adorable little tagine. I think these are from Egypt. And then I have a bag of these fun shells that actually have holes in them, so I could string them on something. Yeah, and that's it. I don't think I have any stamps in that theme or stencils, die cuts. Yeah, so good luck to me. Okay, the first thing to do, as always, I think, which is helpful, is to cut everything out. But at least Rhonda didn't say this time that we couldn't use scissors like last time. That was a challenge as well. But this is, I feel like, a much bigger challenge just because I don't know how to make the theme work. I'd love to know what Rhonda was thinking. I think she was just thinking she really needs to make it challenging for us. Thank you, sweetie. I appreciate that, girlfriend. Seeing all these parts separate here partially helps, at least. I made the decision that I'm going to make a tag, and I also made the decision that I don't want these pieces to be flimsy, so I'm going to back them. And I decided to use this chocolate packaging. I always have this on hand. It's so convenient when you have a chocolate addiction like this, because you can use the packaging for so many things. So I'm going to glue these on here and cut them out one more time. I just quickly wanted to share this tip for my viewers in the German-speaking countries. If you have access to Bösner, which is an art supply store, I believe you can also order online from them. This glue stick is really good. It's been a really long time since I've come across a really nice glue stick. What I love about this is it keeps its form, because so many of the others, they kind of like melt when you start applying it, and they get all squishy and yucky. But this one is keeping its form, but it's still spreading nicely. So I am super happy with this. So maybe that's something you want to try out if you have the chance to order from them or to even go to one of their stores. Okay, these feel a lot better now that they are backed. Obviously, it would have been great to think of that before I cut them out the first time, to just put some cardstock behind the whole area and then just cut them out once instead of twice. So if you want to do this, maybe you want to think of that beforehand. Next, I'm inking these up with frayed burlap just to switch it up a bit, and because I think the walnut stain would be a bit harsh. This seems like just a softer color that kind of fits better to the ocean in my brain at least. And I really want to give these a good outline, especially because some of these images are not as crisp. So by giving them an outline like this, they do come out a lot better. Thankfully, we're allowed to use ink. Okay, let's see what it would look like if we just layer all these things up on the bottom here. So for example, if we start with this seaweed, I love the seaweed. I love the colors. I really love that. Then we have our shell, our blue shell. And we have our cute sea turtle. So that makes a really cute cluster. And then we have these shells. What if we simply arrange them down here? And then we still have this huge seagull. That is absolutely enormous. Yeah, I'll have to figure out how to place that. So if I make a tag, how big does it need to be? Do I leave this as one image? I actually don't want to cut around them. I'm just thinking if I just glue this onto a tag base, I don't think I'm going to like the look. We cannot use any paint or anything like that. It doesn't say that we cannot use gesso. So I could always put gesso on the back, and I could also use maybe Distress Oxide, or maybe I have some inks, I'll have to see. Or I can maybe make some more clouds or something, I don't know. I guess I first need to decide on the size of the tag. I have some very stiff cardstock here. I really don't think I want to go wider than this image here. I'm happy to have things sticking out on the sides and on the bottom. That's totally fine. I just don't know how tall to make it because I don't know what I'm doing with this seagull. I am just going to leave the length as it is and just cut it as wide as this image is. Okay, I want to have the classical tag shape. So now I need to figure out how I want to place this tag. So I want the seagull to go on top there, and I don't mind if one of the wings sticks out there. That's fine. And we can add a little bit more room down here for all the things I want to add. So that means I need to, actually I'm going to glue this on now. And then I'm going to add some gesso. I could just add it straight here actually. Okay, that was not a good choice of a brush. I had something in mind, but that's not really working. Or maybe it is. Maybe I just need more gesso. Be patient, be patient. I don't want this edge of the paper to be so visible. Not sure if I'm going to manage to be able to do that. On the bottom, it's not such a big deal because we'll be covering that pretty much. Actually, that was not a good idea. But I want to add some of this white gesso in some parts of the picture as well, because it's a different white to the white that my printout has, because I printed it on photo paper, because it comes out a little more crisp and a little more vibrant. But that means the white is a little bit gray, and this gesso is a lot warmer in tone. Okay, I dried the first layer, but I want to add another layer, especially up here where the gray is still showing through a little bit. So the instructions say I cannot use coffee paint, which includes watercolor, tube, bottle, crayons, and markers, or tea in your work. It does not mention that I cannot use a distress stain. So I have this one here, which is tumbled glass. And this is one of these dauber bottles. I'm just going to be brave, I think. And try to dab some on here, and this is obviously going to be pretty abstract. And obviously it's not the same blue, but it can kind of give the impression of a sky, right? With a little bit of imagination. And it can also look a little bit like seawater. I don't think I'll see any of this on the bottom here, but let's just do it anyway. Who knows? I might regret not doing that. Then I'll go over maybe the blue a little bit, the original blue, so that it kind of melts together somehow. I feel like this way I have kind of visually extended this image to go over all of my tag. And now I want to define the edges of the tag. And I know this might seem like a weird timing to do this now when half of the tag is still missing. But I know this changes the look of the tag so much that I want to visualize this. Also, some of the parts of the tag might be more difficult to get to once I start gluing things down, that I'd rather do it now, and I can always re-ink the parts that I need to again later. And actually I want to go around all of the edges, because that won't be possible once I start gluing the things down here on the bottom for sure. Okay, let's arrange all these images again and see how that looks. And the seagull is up here somehow. Looking through my stash, I tried to come up with some more elements that I could add here to make it a bit more fun and a bit more dimensional, which is always a nightmare to put in a journal, but at this point I don't care. I just want to do something fun with this tag, and I will figure out the rest later. So the first thing I came upon is this, which is a dyed piece of a lemon net. I've shown this in a few videos. I dye these with either watercolor or with distress ink or oxide or whatever you have on hand that's water soluble. And I just think this might look cute because it kind of looks like a fisher's net. So I want to include this somehow, maybe behind these shells. Yeah, I really like how that looks. Then we have a shell here. Maybe I have to move Mr. Turtle here just a little bit. Sorry about that. You see, we have a shell here with a pearl. And I actually have some pearls here. Maybe I can just glue one on right there. That is super dimensional. Do I want to do that? It would be cool if I had like a half pearl, but I don't have one and I can't cut these. But how cool would that be to have an actual pearl here? I just thought I was really clever, and I went to my stash and I remembered I had these flowers that have pearls on them, and I was hoping they would have like these half pearls, but they are also full pearls. So too bad. That would have been awesome. But maybe that's something you have that you could use. But then I remembered I also have my treasure box of bling. Ta-da! And these are all these half things. So I'm sure there's a pearl in there somewhere, like a half pearl. Yep, I already see one. That's what I love most about these challenges, is it really makes you think about, what could you add? What are things I usually wouldn't use, and I wouldn't use them in this way. And it really, really makes, oh, this is tiny. You see, that is tiny. Maybe I can find a bigger one. That would be awesome. I found this rose. We could have a rose instead of a pearl, right? Why not? That actually is cute. I like that better than that tiny pearl. So unless I find, oh, wait, is this bigger? I think this one is a bit bigger. Yeah, that one is bigger. So either this pearl, but actually now I'm liking the rose better. It is quite a lot bigger, but it's not that chunky. I think my camera is having a hard time focusing because I'm so close. But I really like the rose right there. That is just something different. Then let's check my shells to see if there's any here that are not too big and bulky that might work here. I don't want anything white because I really want this this rose to stick out. Oh, this actually has sort of similar colors to the shells that we have here. Oh, that's fun. And there's another one, but where to put it? There isn't enough space on this tag for everything. Okay, maybe I should rethink this rose. I just add shells and we kind of ignore the fact that there's a pearl. Oh, this is perfect in the colors. Oh, I wish these were smaller. If I don't use the rose, I can use the white shells. They are a lot smaller. Maybe that's a better idea, although I really love this one. Maybe we can keep this one. No. I think my issue is, and I don't think you can really see this in the video, that the rose is shiny and these are matte. And I just don't think that this shiny element works with the rest. So unfortunately, it's going to have to go. Maybe I should reconsider adding the pearl. So I found something else. I found this bead here, which is not quite round. It's more like an oval. And actually this has the perfect size to go right here. And I'm happy with that. So now the biggest challenge is to glue all these items down. Yay. I'm going to do that with my Collal bookbinding glue, just because I know it's very strong. Another option would be gel medium, because these kind of glues have more body than your regular, say, tacky glue. So wait, how do I do this? I need to think about this first. Obviously, I need to glue from the back first. Okay, I think I will hopefully remember how everything was here. And I'm being very generous with the glue.
The great yellow sun is reflecting in your deep blue eyes. The day has begun. You spin around, you laugh to yourself. And I see you shine in every color, resting your head in my arms. You sing la 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 la. My God, I think I might be.
So lastly, we have our huge seagull. And I also found these golden mini beads. I guess these are seed beads that we could add on top to symbolize the sand, maybe. That would kind of be like instead of my gold splatters. This bookbinding glue dries clear, so I can just add some on top here and then add the beads on top of that. But I'm actually not sure now, does it dry matte or not? That would be a good question too, because I don't want this shiny. I need to test that first. I'm happy I tried that out because it is absolutely shiny. So that's not going to work. Instead, I found this white sand that I usually use to mix in with my gesso if I want some texture paste. So we could start off by just adding some sand, and we could do this with my clear gesso. This one I know dries matte and is very grainy, by the way, which is great for some applications. But it's too liquid, I think. Well, it might be enough actually to hold these small seed beads. I don't think it would hold these here unless, I just have an idea. I could just like mix this, you know what I mean? Like cover the beads completely with this. That will make them lose their shine, but I guess that's okay. All right, let's start off by adding some of this to get some white sand down because that's just fun. Does the turtle get white sand? Maybe just a little bit. Because it came from the ocean, right? It walked on to the beach, so it would have some sand on it. Put some in this little bowl. It's kind of like working with embossing glaze. It needs more. Okay, so there's our white sand. And then we'll put some here, and we'll add some of these beads into the mixture. Maybe I'll just add a few of these as well. Okay, so let's see what this looks like once it's dry, and hopefully we will see the beads more. It's the next day. Everything has dried really nicely. You see all these beads are stuck down. It really worked well. The sand looks really cool as well. I'm super happy with that. So if you don't have sand and you want to do something similar, maybe you can find some embossing powder in your stash, and then either you emboss it or you don't, depending on what look you would like to have. When I looked at this tag this morning, I thought I want to make these beads here all golden because they lost their gold, obviously, especially these. These bigger ones are now white, so that's super interesting. And I already took out my Mr. Van Gogh cold watercolor paint, but I just remembered that the instructions said no paint, no markers, no watercolors. So I don't have anything to make them gold, Rhonda. And what I also realized, what it says is you must include circles in some way. I almost forgot about that as well. So I'm going to take my gesso again, and I'm going to take this tip of a paintbrush. You know, when you buy paintbrushes new, they have this on the tip here, like this. And I like keeping those because they are great for making circles. So let's make some circles down here, and maybe that will look like, you know, like water bubbles. Not water bubbles, air bubbles. Which actually makes no sense because all of these items are no longer underwater, but we're just going to ignore that fact because we have instructions to follow. And they do make an additional fun element, so that's totally fine with me. So Rhonda, I hope you're happy. Here are your circles. Unfortunately, my favorite chocolate has silver foil. I used a different kind of chocolate in my Defemorember, which had a gold foil. If I would have that now, I would add little tiny pieces of that gold foil here. So maybe if you have that, maybe that's something you would like to do. And one important thing while I'm thinking of it, in our last 5 digital items swap, I received some comments of viewers asking where they could post their projects that they made using our digitals, and we had not thought about that. So we didn't have a hashtag at that time, but this time we have one for you. So it's hashtag 5 digital items swap. And you can add that to your Instagram post if you're on Instagram. We would, of course, love to see what you come up with using our freebies. I just want to double check the instructions again in case I missed something else. So the seashells count as one item. You must use them all. Yes, we used them all. 1, 2, 3, 4. You may use the digitals more than once. I did not even find that necessary. You must include circles, so we just did that with the air bubbles. You may not use coffee paint, which includes watercolor tube, bottle, crayons, and markers. Didn't do that, or tea in your work. Additional items from your stash are okay that help with the ocean theme. So I used this net here and these beads. And that's it. I had so much fun with this tag. Thank you so much, Rhonda. I hope you tried to make your own version. Let's go check out the other videos together now. I am super curious. Thanks so much. Love you guys. Mwah, mwah.